going to get into the topic of urgency today because urgency also has this tendency to make us feel responsible, make us feel like we're doing something. And it sort of hides in the background of our psyche, stressing us out because we feel like it's a mandatory thing. We feel like we're being by hurrying, by rushing. And look at your age right now. If you're still doing that, how long have you been doing that for? Think about how long has it been since you have been in a rush. I remember in college, for example, getting to the end of my college career and being in a rush to do something with my life. And that's the type of urgency I'm talking about. That's sort of like underlying theme that guides your life, that's based on the principle that you're not good enough, that you're not in the position where you belong right now. And really, an entire lifetime can go by where that's the theme, that's the foundation of how we live. And it's really it's 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 close to the opposite of happiness, being present in this moment. And that's what presence is. That's the power of presence, is it narrows our focus into where we are now and being within it as opposed to looking off to some far off finish line, and constantly, consistently, and ever evolvingly always be looking towards the horizon, wishing, wanting, longing, and recognizing that you're lacking in the present moment because you don't have what's at the finish line. And when we do start reaching the finish lines, we're already put further finish lines in front of us and have this pull. It's the pull of the future. That's what urgency is. It's pulling us forward. And a lot of times when we're attempting to be pulled faster towards the future, we have the weight of our past that we're lugging around with us. And that causes us to be in a state of depression because we feel this pressure that we're not where we are. And it has to do with the decisions of our past. And that's why I'm currently not where I would like to be. And that's all a choice. That's all fixable. That's all solvable. That's actually where I work the best with people. It's the self that fragments ourself. It's super easy to shatter our respect for ourself, to shatter our self identity, to shatter our self confidence, our self esteem, because we're split between where we are, where we would like to go, and the grievances of our history. And that shattering of ourself really makes us weak, and it makes us susceptible to the pressure of reality. And that pressure, if it's greater than your ability to push back up against it, then you get depressed in. And that happens a lot when we're constantly in the future and in the past. And like I said, urgency is something that's really easy to mark up on the wall as a positive attribute of self, that you're always in a rush to get to your goals. And really, that's just hiding things like fear of being who you are now, fear of facing the fact that you are in the place that you are right now. And when you are using urgency to mask fear of your present moment, to mask the truth of your present moment, you really never get to know yourself. feeling on time. Imagine feeling on time. Imagine feeling like you're in the moment as you should be. Is that possible? Have you felt that before? If I were in a physical room right now, I would ask right now, how many of us in here feel like we are on time? Like we're arrived at the place in our life where we feel we should be. We really shouldn't be shoulding, but I'm using the word should because that's what this whole thing is founded on, is the fact that we should or shouldn't be in the place that we are right now. And then I would say, how many of us feel like we're we're running towards something? We're running towards something, and we have thoughts like, I'm behind, I'm late, I should be further along. When will I get there? When am I going to achieve my goals? These are pervasive thoughts that fragment ourself, because where you are is a neutral thing, right? And our body's designed to be where we are. That's what our psyche is designed to be. It's designed to be where we are. Then we open our device and we see somebody who's 10 years younger than us buying their second super yacht and helicoptering their Bugattis onto it. Or we see a person having a family with four healthy kids and a house that they own. Or we see a business owner acquiring their 60th business. And we see all of these things. And that comparison is the thief of joy, right? We start comparing. And that comparison is fragmentation. It's taking you and you're fragmenting. I'm just using the word fragment just because it's it's a word that puts a good visual, a good feeling of what happens when we betray ourselves, when we betray the present moment, when we tell ourselves that we're not good enough. Where I am right now is not it. I wish I was somewhere else. I wish in my past I did other choices. That really splits who you are. And the more out of alignment, fragment is out of alignment. The more out of alignment we are, the weaker we are, the less power we have. Fragment ourselves if not living in the now. Exactly. Self compassion for the unknown. Thank you for the comments, guys. Ask questions too if you have any. So, one of the things that urgency does, so the theme is urgency. Urgency is this rush. And think about when you're in a rush, there's spikes of certain hormones. You're sort of looking around, your eyes are darting, you're in reactivity mode, you're in survival mode. Your heart rate is increasing, you're breathing out of your mouth, you're breathing shallow, so you're not even getting life force down into your lower lungs, which is where a lot of your alveoli are, that is extracting the oxygen and allowing the prana to come into your body. Your thinking part, this is real stuff, guys. The thinking part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, this starts to slow down when you're in this urgency. It's the same thing that happens when you're arguing with somebody. You're not really using the analytical, logical thinking part of your brain. You're using your reptilian, like primitive reptilian survival part of your brain. And so that's what urgency does. And that's why when you get to your destination, there's not harmony. And a lot of times, this is getting a little bit more severe, but like on the severe side of things, in order to get to the finish line, you may, if you're in an urgent mindset all the time, you may feel like the need to compromise with certain things in your life. You may compromise with your standards and your values. You may compromise with your family life and how you treat your close relations and the people that you love. You may compromise on how you treat yourself and your environment. And when you arrive at the finish line, you arrive with all of this baggage of the mess that you've created. And then that compounds to like, oh my gosh, I have this mess. And now I'm in urgently need to clean it up and urgently also need to get to the next finish line. And it just keeps on compounding. It just keeps on compounding and compounding and compounding. And your body has no idea the difference between a deadline that you're going for, or even just like you comparing that you wish you were thinner, you wish you were wealthier, you wish you had more, you wish you were loved like with somebody else. Like that comparison has no, your body has no idea the difference between that and a lion chasing you. It's that same level of fight or flightness that happens. It's all coded in the body as a threat. And when you're living under threat, what is the finish line? Is the question that's coming through. Yeah, the finish line is non-existent, because if you're chasing a finish line now, that means you're always chasing a finish line. And when you get to the finish line, there's going to be another finish line. Finish line is something that's always in front of you. It's like a carrot dangling in front of you, except for you're not the one that set the carrot there. That's the thing, is we think that we set the finish line there, but we didn't. We didn't. The powers at B are not worried about money, they're worried about influence. So the ones that are setting the carrots are not us. They're set in school programming, they're set in social media, influencers that are funded by organizations, they're set in celebrities, they're set in movies, they're set in the tone of how parents raise their children and like the expectations. That's where these carrots, these finish lines are set. They're not our choices. And so bringing the power back to the self is the purpose of the self expansion practice that I designed, having to do with urgency. We're just talking a little bit more about this. I'm just kind of like extending this conversation out and including some people live as well to talk about the concept of urgency. But when this carrot is in front of us that we never can reach, that means that we can be manipulated, right? We can be manipulated to buy the clothes, to long for the car, to eat at the place where everybody wants to be seen, to do what it takes to make ourselves more attractive. And we buy the Botox, the lip fillers, the Ozempic, the peptides. Like we do all of these things for status, to be in a place where we're not, to be to get the next carrot. Time even changes. Time even changes when when you're in this state of urgency. And I'm not necessarily talking about urgency l- like about things that need to happen, like where you get a call that somebody's stranded on the side of the road and they urgently need somebody to pick them up. Are fascia maneuvers a way to regulate the nervous system, or is it more helpful to do daily affirmations? Thank you for bringing this up and simplify it with the examples. The the fascia maneuvers is a way to clear out blockages in the fascia. And that's also what I do in my self-expansion app practices. We go over breath work and movement to work out the tension and the embedded programs that we've taken on. Affirmations are a form of programming as well. The thing is that even though they're different things, they're still connected. So as we talk with our physical body, and our physical body is connected electrically, energetically, physically, chemically, emotionally to the rest of our body. And as we say something, so like say something like, I suck, or I'm suffering. You say something like I'm suffering, and I'm trying to say it in a neutral tone. But say something like I'm suffering, or I'm in pain, or I'm stupid. I'm exaggerating a point here. If you say that, if you hear yourself say it, you actually feel it in your body. You feel like, just feel right now, even if you didn't feel it in your body, just feel what your body feels like after you say I'm stupid. And then feel what happens in your body when you say, this is the best day ever. This is the greatest moment in my life. I'm so happy to be here. Today is a blessing. You can absolutely feel a lightness happen. So things like physical maneuvers and breath work untangle your body. And we're talking about fascia. Fascia is the web, it's the interconnected highway of light, biophotonic energy that travels through the body, and it's transmitting data. And when that's all tangled up and winded together, unwinding that allows you to be lighter. So does something like affirmation. I remember it was a 300 level class in psychology, because I have a degree in psychology. I forget what it was called. But I walked in the class and the teacher's holding a pen like this. And everyone in the class had to take out a pen or a pencil and hold it in their mouth like this and not let the lips touch the pen. And we all held it in our mouth for 5 minutes. And the point he was making, none of us really knew because we were kids. The point he was making was that this is forcing you to smile. So after a few minutes, everyone starts like laughing, and sort of like laughing at the fact that we're doing this is what we think we're laughing about. But then he's like, so how does everyone feel? Right. And you actually feel just smiling for 5 minutes completely changes who you are. I believe the author's name is Amy Cuddy. Amy Cuddy wrote a book called, I want to say it's called Presence, or Posture, or let me see. Amy Cuddy. And then the book is, yeah, I think it's just called Presence. And the book, maybe they redid the title, but the book I remember reading was like a picture of like a stick figure. It's like an actual wooden figure person with their arms up like this. And the book is about, if you place yourself in certain postures, you, I'm about to go on a weird tangent here because I just remembered other things about this. But her book Presence, and I think there might be a TED talk on it as well. The power position, I believe, is what she called this arms up. And not like she made it up, but it's, I think it was like research about like the position you put your body impacts how you think and how you feel. And I see some other comments. I'm gonna come back to the comments, guys, in a second. I'm just gonna go on a weird tangent here. There's another, if you want to get even deeper and esoteric into this, there's a couple other books. I don't think I have them on this bookshelf. If I did, it'd be cool because I could show you guys some pictures. It's called Ecstatic Trance. ecstatic trance. So I think I have 2 books on this. Ecstatic trance. Po Yeah, so I just looked up ecstatic trance is a book, and it says new ritual body postures. And there's a few books and probably blog posts that you guys can look up with ecstatic trance. And so when I'm talking about postures and fascia and even our voice, like what does this have to do with ecstatic trance? So in ecstatic trance, they started looking into the artifacts that they would find in caves and basically ancient grounds, ancient monolithic structures and ancient places. They started finding all of these statues and little like carvings of people in these weird positions. And they start doing research, they start asking the current tribes, and basically all of these sort of like images that are in these like weird positions. And if you guys do any form of yoga, you know the power of posture. But ecstatic trance goes a step further in suggesting that the reason for these postures is that you would get to, it's almost like a key to unlock a gate into a certain dimensional frequency of being, but actually like going into another dimension, even if it's just in your mind, if you're kind of like dimension kind of weirds you out, if that's too woo for you. But if you get into this position and pair it with a certain beats per minute. I think it was like a high beats per minute. And if you guys think about indigenous cultures with the drums or the hi ya 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 hi ya 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 hi ya 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 hi ya ya, it's like that amount of beats per minute. I forget what it was, like 120 to 150, somewhere around 140 to 160, like this do 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 do, or like the that shaking sound in this position. That is a key. Your posture is a key to unlock access to another dimension. All of that having to do with the power of our own voice, of our own position, of how we carry ourselves. Are we urgently racing towards the future? Are we present in how we're standing, how we're talking, how we're being, who we're connecting with, the earth that we're standing on? It just all sort of ties in there. I'll leave it, I'll leave it with you guys with that. I'm gonna collect and read off some of these comments. But I just gave you guys some books, right? Amy Cuddy, Presence, TED Talk as well. Also look up ecstatic trance, some wild things that is kind of like it's a reach, it's pretty deep. But if you're already working with people, like maybe you're facilitating groups, that's a really cool theme to go into. And um I can't remember if I mentioned another book. I think I did. But all right, where was I? Smile if you're hung. That was a comment. Your brain believes you and your body and our body feels it, tricks your brain. Yeah. Beautiful muscle memory. Yes. Yes, that's the power of presence. This morning I thought this as soon as I woke up and headed to the bathroom, I thought my energy level is crazy low. I would feel better if I believe that I am moving at the perfect speed and level of accomplishment. I immediately felt better. Then I went out to shovel the New York City blizzard snow and got back exhausted again. I have to remind myself again and again that I am doing exactly what I'm supposed to do at the perfect slow speed I'm going these days. The consistent practice, training I am learning from you, Ra. Thank you for all these years of lives. Love, Ra, and blessing. Guys, so the thing about work that we have to do, like shoveling snow, that's all a framing thing, right? Even if we come in exhausted, I mean, that's an exercise. That's a fresh air. That's getting to see things that you normally don't see. This morning I shoveled snow. It's like a novel experience that that we add to our life that allows the perception of time, which is the next subject I'm going to get into, allows that perspective of time to slow down as opposed to life speeding by us. I love you, Ra. Blessings. I love posture changing, our self confidence, ecstatic trance, ritual body postures by Nana Newald and Felicitas D. Goodman. Yeah, I have a couple books on ecstatic trance. I have a couple bookshelves in this room. It's just hard to read really quickly. But then there's a couple other bookshelves not in this room. I pretty much grabbed my favorite ish books to a degree and put them in here. Ecstatic trance must not have made that cut. I unlocked old shoulder issue and literally feel a level of confidence I've never felt before. It's like I unlocked access to another dimension. I totally get this. Yes, it's like mudras while meditating. Exactly. The whole body is essentially a mudra. I believe boredom is one of the strongest and most powerful ways to self regulate. Who masters boredom masters his own self. That's, thank you for that comment. Boredom is a lost art. Contemplation is actually an entire limb of Eastern philosophy, to be able to contemplate, to be able to stare at the flame and think. And that happens in what the West would call boredom. Like there's nothing to do. And a lot of that, because I'm a new parent, has to do with the way that we're parented. If the parents are constantly improving things, right? So kid goes outside, starts playing with the stick, kind of like starting to get bored, and then the parent says like, "Hey, do you know that you can do this with the stick?" and starts to like make the experience better. Or like, "Hey, play with this toy instead of the stick." Because we got an overstimulation problem, and it starts the way that we're raised. And I'm 43, I think. I was bored a lot of the times when I was a kid, and we had to use our imagination. We had to make up games, and we had to make up rules as we went, which would, cause us to argue, which would be us working on our communication skills, and we would get hurt, and we would learn how to not get hurt, right? Like the benefit of getting hurt as a kid is that you learn how to not get hurt. You learn how to focus and concentrate so that you don't get hurt. And that's missing, right? We've got video games that stimulate our mind hundreds of times in a single minute of just things that are happening on the screen. And so yeah, it's okay to be bored. How many layers of fascia are can someone measure how pliable the tissue is? I mean, fascia is not like it's fascia is us. Think about us as fascia. When we look at the body, it's really easy to think about skull, spine, humerus bones, ulna radius bones, the 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 metatarsals, and like all of these bones in our body is like pelvis, like that kind of like sticks out when we're thinking like femurs. It all sort of sticks out in our brain, and then we think of something like fascia as like a secondary thing that we just kind of have. But if we start thinking about our body as fascia, and that the bones actually grow into the fascia, It's not bones and everything sort of like is on the bones. That's the easy way to sort of think about it. The fascia is a web that existed before the bones. It existed before the muscle. It existed before even uh, just the ligaments and all of that. The fascia is not like a wrapping that goes around those things. The fascia, think about it as like it's spiraling like this from the inside of every part of our body to the outside. And you can even say that the last layer of fascia is the skin and the hair, and then it goes into this non physical fascia that goes out into our aura, or as science calls it, our bioenergetic field. And the bones grow into the fascia, and the fascia is connected to all the other fascia. It's like a web. It's sort of like it almost looks exactly like the universe. If you find pictures of the universe and all of the galaxies, and there's pictures that they construct of what the universe looks like, it looks like a fascia web through the entire everything. Don't think I've experienced boredom? That's crazy. My daughter is not crazy in a bad way. My daughter is 3 and goes to Forest Friends daycare. Zero toys, zero plan. Kids just hang out and explore nature. Best thing for the nervous system. Yeah, I guess the word boredom, it's a label. My camera battery must have died, so now I have a different camera. Boredom is a label that gets said by somebody who has a problem with with I'm looking in the wrong camera. Has a problem with not having anything to do or needing to make up something. So if you have been raised in a boring environment and you always knew how to make the situation work for you, then you might not even really know what boredom feels like to somebody who like this person saying granddaughter is 3 and goes to a Forest Friends daycare, zero toys, zero plan. Kids just hang out and explore nature. It's the best thing for the nervous system. Like you would just always know what to do in a boring environment where boredom wouldn't even really be a thing. I remember that as a child, hide and seek. Yeah. We are pure consciousness witnessing electricity running through a pool of bugs held together by bones, fat through a pool of bones held together by no, a pool of bugs held together by bones, fascia, and skin. Maybe the bugs you're talking about is bacteria, which also, guys, the cells are, hold on, I keep on staring in the wrong camera, so I need to turn this camera sideways so I don't look at it. All right. The, the, the bacteria make us. And all of the cells in our body are like their own organisms because that's kind of how they started off. And then we're this like collection of organisms, and some of them are human. We can say they're human. And more of them are non human entities. They're bacteria that come in a lot of time from external environments. So, like, vaginal birth is like that first major exposure to bacteria for the baby, and it's super important. Fascia is like the residual energy imprint of how we experience reality, how we embody that experience. Residual energy imprint. So, that comment's basically saying that how we experience reality and how we embody the experience is living within our fascia. Yeah. When I see someone with a very good archetype and very healthy, hydrated fascia reflects as beauty from the outside. That's what beauty is. Think about that. We're attracted to that. We're not just attracted to this thing called beauty. Beauty exists to us as information. That's information that we're attracted to that. And that doesn't mean that everyone's attracted to the same thing. I mean, in fact, that's not true. Some of us are attracted to different weights and different skin tones and different skin colors and different hair colors and different smells and different energetic. It's really that's what it's about. It's the energy, and that's matching or repelling us. And some people have a broader reach, but a lot of that has to do with health and vibrancy and friendliness and capabilities and access to resources. All of that has to do with what we're attracted to and how that's going to match us and our lifestyle. Your brain believes you and your body feels it. All right. Your healthy, happy plants. Oh, because you can see them now. Yeah, I'm trying to get like we just moved into this house. I'm trying to find the right place for all the plants. Guys, if you have a plant that's not doing so well, then just try moving it to a different place, different window, a different length away from the window, on the windowsill, outside, and even humidity levels will change how they do. So even like this plant up here is right underneath the heat vent. It's not really doing so well up there. Probably have to move it. Wish I grew up like that. Yeah, under a microscope, we got a bunch of critters swimming around us. Yes. We are the critters. They're responsible for our thoughts, our emotions, and this is why I do so much work. The main work that I do, the main one of the main missions I'm on is helping people with their gut bacteria because that's what influences their thoughts, their emotions, along with their physical health. But most people are just concerned with their physical health. And when they start going through some superfood programs that we have, they notice that their dopamine increases, their serotonin increases, their mood gets better. They start noticing the misalignment they have with their job and they create a life that is meaningful and on purpose. And the relationship to that also changes. They stop feeling like they're doing stuff they don't like and are more in alignment. Yes, speak on beauty, the real beauty. Last night I was pondering what does beauty feel like? That's interesting. Beauty is a state of being. It's a state of being. And you be it first before you actually externally exude it. You can only be beautiful if you're beautiful inside. Thoughts on dealing with the root cause for someone who drinks too much caffeine? So, we're talking about an addiction, and addictions don't just go away because you want them to go away. A lot of times you need to fill the cup with something other than coffee. And caffeine doesn't actually give you energy. Caffeine makes your body feel it inhibits your body from feeling tired. That's what caffeine does. And so you've got these signals that you're tired, but you're drinking caffeine to block those signals. So there's a few things going on. Number one is why are you tired? Why are you stressed out? So is there a mental thing that's weighing down on you, like always moving with urgency? And or how is your sleep? And then there's what else can you do that gives you energy? What else can you do that gives you energy? And then on top of that, what else can you do to support your body to produce its own energy? And that's I've seen people, my wife included, seen people quit like addicts of coffee so much that they consider that their self a connoisseur. You know those people that like same thing with beer. It's like you're going to go. So my wife like used to drive 6 hours to go to like a cafe in Northern California that and like where they roast their beans and like make the perfect whatever latte. I don't even know the names of these things. Americano or Kana or something. So like you're going to all these cafes because you're addicted to this thing. There's a way to increase your sleep, increase the effectiveness of your sleep, and also change the gut bacteria. And we do that with our programs. Just reach out to me about that if you want. But you can also find caffeine, different types of caffeine, like matcha or tea or kombucha as like a bridge to stop. If you just completely stop, which I've seen a lot of people do, because like I said, our programs make people feel like they don't need it. They just quit because they don't need it. So when you take away the need, that's another way that you're just like you kind of just feel like you don't need to reach for it. And so I've seen a lot of people just quit cold turkey and they go into a bedroom for a while, a couple days, and screaming headaches. And they're willing to do that not because anybody told them to. We didn't tell them to quit drinking coffee. It's just like what their body's desiring to do when you start getting satiated with nourishment and your gut bacteria starts to change and you're getting the sleep. You actually kind of feel repulsed from coffee. So there's a whole bunch of things I kind of threw in there. Plus the fake source of energy caffeine produces and alters the adrenal glands where it becomes, yeah. So that's the problem, right? As I said, caffeine, coffee, uh, makes you blinded from the fact that you're tired. And then, so it's not really the caffeine that gives you the energy. It's the fact that you keep on pushing forward because you're blunting the tired signal. So you keep on pushing forward. And then your adrenal glands kick on. And your adrenal glands produce energy because it basically now you're in a life or death situation, which then also affects your personality, affects just like everything about you, your hormones, your actions. You're in this, you think you're just happier and like alert and like I can't start my day without my shot of whatever and caffeine, whatever it is. And you you're really just on an adrenaline spike, but it feels normal to you. So every single day, just to get to normalness, you need to kick on your adrenal glands, and then that's going to lead to adrenal fatigue, where basically your adrenal glands like don't work anymore, and so you're going to be drinking not one cup of coffee, not two cups of coffee, but like a cup of coffee every 2 hours because and then you're literally just beating your glands into the ground. You're literally sledgehammering them over and over and over and over and over again every day. And that's what caffeine and an abundance of caffeine is doing for you. And you're going to see people like Huberman. I think I heard him talk about he drinks 1100. It was like 900 or 1100 milligrams of caffeine a day. This other guy like King Keto, also it was one does 1100, one does 900, and they're promoting this. They're high performers, and they both say that the side effect is addiction. The side effect's addiction, but it also is ruining your adrenal glands. So they might be, they're both probably, it's worth millions of dollars for them to be heavily excited. But if you're using it to, and you don't really need it, like it's not like maximizing your life, then it's probably not worth the compromise. I make mine from homemade organic and I sit. Parasite cleanse helps. Yes. I make mine homemade, organic. I and sit of olive oil and add turmeric and ginger and cinnamon powder. I think that's referring to maybe like a latte. We healing adrenal fatigue for a while. Yeah, it could take a while. And it alters your HPA access as well. Yes. So what is deeper than the adrenal gland? Well, now you're getting into like other person said, the HPA axis, if your adrenal glands crushed, then there's other glands that your body's going to be stealing this capacity for energy from. And then you end up with issues in other parts of your body, like the the deeper glands of your brain, hypothalamus, pituitary, pineal gland, maybe not. Pineal gland gets really impacted by blue light though, and pineal gland produces serotonin. So 70%, 70 to 80% of your serotonin is produced in your gut. Serotonin is sort of like the awake hormone. Dopamine's like the happy hormone. Serotonin also adds to your happiness and mood as well. But then serotonin is produced in the gut, most of it, and then the rest of it is produced in the brain. And serotonin's uh, tonin comes from tonic. And so sera comes from syrup. So it's like serum, not syrup, but it's the same root, which is serum. So serotonin is like the serum tonic that comes from what the pineal gland uh, makes from light. And the pineal gland also makes two main compounds. One is melatonin. So mela means dark or black, and then tonin, tonic, black tonic. So the pineal gland's making tonic from, it's like the light source that you're in, and that tonic is going through your body and recalibrating while you're asleep and also keeping you awake. And it's basically melatonin is keeping you awake, and serotonin is is other way around. Melatonin's deepening your sleep, and serotonin's keeping you awake. And that's a tangent too, that I'll try and finish these comments first. What's deeper than the adrenal gland? And then also there's um, epinephrine and norepinephrine that you want to look into as well if you are addicted to caffeine. Epinephrine is adrenaline, and norepinephrine is like it's another awake hormone that keeps you awake. And norepinephrine is also in a cycle that includes melatonin. Norepinephrine and melatonin sort of like preemptively start the chain to activate the other. And so that that cycle, they're related. Do you wear blue glasses, blue blocker glasses? And if so, what do you recommend? Yeah, I do. There's a few. I think I've got some discount codes if you go to rawavert.com and then click on products I love. It's in there. Rawearth.com. Blue, like you will absolutely notice a difference with blue blockers. I absolutely appreciate that answer. The hypothalamus controls body thermoregulation, which is why caffeine gets so much hype about increasing your metabolism, but then it crashes out. Yeah, hypothalamus also is responsible for the hypothalamus, parasympathetic. So I just wanted to read this to you guys just so they can say it better than I can. The hypothalamus is a master regulator of the autonomic nervous system, maintaining homeostasis by controlling both sympathetic, which is the fight or flight part of you, and parasympathetic, which is the rest or digest activities. It acts as a bridge. So we're talking about the hypothalamus acts as a bridge, utilizing the anterior medial regions for parasympathetic responses and the posterior lateral regions for sympathetic stress related responses. So the hypothalamus is the switch between fight or flight responses or rest digest responses, which also is going to lead to how you breathe. And so if the caffeine's sort of messing with all of that, then you're constantly in fight or flight until you can't be there anymore, and then you're just crash out. I have soreness, fulsome, deep soreness behind my right knee in the fleshy part under the fleshy part. I did not knowingly hurt it. It's been 3 days shoveling. Shoveling wasn't it? Just wait and see. Wait and see what happens. Keep on moving. Try not to just be still. And sometimes things go away on their own, and it was just your body working itself out, or sometimes you bumped it, sometimes you slept on it wrong. 3 days, especially above 30, is okay for things to come and go. I mean, it could take 2 weeks. I wouldn't worry about it is what I'm saying. Did I finish the thing about urgency? That's where we started. Yeah, I just didn't get into the questions, the journaling. I guess you guys can go to selfexpansion.app website to see what those questions are. It's this week's practice. I went to a funeral recently where I sat and listened to music and watched video memorial for an hour. I felt it so healing, but some you could tell were not so comfortable, but some you could tell were not so comfortable. Presence is so important for healing. Yeah, guys, I used to go to these, like my friends would have gigantic meditation events that were marketed to people who weren't meditators. And we would show up and there'd be like 300 people. And I would be participating, but like let's say a friend of mine would be help to facilitate. And they would tell me that the majority of everybody in the audience, like 90% of them, couldn't keep their eyes closed. Like through a guided meditation that wasn't even that long, 20 minutes. Looks because there's like girls going around like doing like smudging people with sage and Palo Santo and these girls would say that like nobody could keep their eyes closed. It's like for most people, just sitting and closing your eyes is difficult to do. If you think about that, it's a little crazy. That's why we need to fill our plate with a whole bunch of stuff and be in a hurry and be in a rush because it's masking our inability to be with ourself in the present moment. I really enjoyed what you were saying about the 160 beats per minute. 2 hours before this, I was researching how to teach shouting on the down one, something about ecstatic dance. You always randomly talk about things that connect important to what I am studying currently. Yeah, that's what everything is in life. It's all coming up, intermingling with your current happenings and current intentions. I'm not just like another person. I'm a part of this mesh of energy that we all are, and it's all information that's coming to you to signal your journey, to signal that it might be information that you need, or to signal and validate the direction that you're going. What I'm interested in with this is moving energy through and around the group dancing. Yeah, experiment with that. What's your feeling on music now? Is it dead? Is the pressure of air now what we are synchronized to naturally? I find it difficult to listen to music now, only the pressure of air that makes sound. I don't really listen to that much music, but music does have a way to move people. And yeah, everything is tuned a little bit different, but there's there's music outside in the ocean waves and in the air blowing through the trees and in birds in the morning. If you go outside in the morning, the birds are singing. They're singing for the sunrise. And when you go out in the evening, the birds are flying in the sunset. So there's a lot of natural music that we can do to correct the imbalance of, you know, the manipulations that have been done in modern music. And we can still use modern music for what it is. It's just a lot of inharmonious tones, yes, but also a lot of rage, a lot of like peppy music. Most of what I listen to is solfeggio frequencies. So solfeggio frequencies is something you can look up on any platform, and they're just tones. And you could also get into binaural beats. Binaural beats has one tone coming out. Binaural beats has to be listened to with headphones. So if you guys listen to binaural beats not with headphones, you must listen to it with headphones. So it's basically doing one tone coming from this headphone, another tone coming from this headphone. And then what happens is your brain adjusts the imbalance between these tones, and it has to meet in the middle to hear, but it's really create the state of the balance of those tones. And that state, that frequency range equals an emotion. And so you can, or a feeling state, it equals a state of being. So you can use binaural beats for all sorts of things. For studying, you can like evoke the frequency of focus. You can use binaural beats for sleeping. You can use binaural beats for get up and go. You can use binaural beats for happiness. And so just make sure you always use headphones. That's why I love being alone. I have 4 kids. I try my best every night to do breathing exercise when everything is quiet. You could also do it in the morning. It's like music is fixed to nostalgia. I love listening to 432 and 528 hertz. 528 hertz is the frequency of love. You are going to connect the ideas of urgency and time as the next part of your discussion on your topic today. I was. Thank you for reminding me. That is exactly the next step of where I was going to go, but I'm going to end it here. And like I said, go to selfexpansion.app for more. And sayonara, everybody. Thank you for being here. And I really enjoyed it. See you next week, likely.